In this lesson, we're going to create the user profile card editor component. Let's create the file and copy the markup from the mockup. I'll paste it in the template and clean it up some. I'll get rid of all the value attributes as we'll be using vModel. Now let's go through the markup and see what data we'll need. We'll need the user avatar, and we'll need the username. We'll also have to be able to edit the username, to edit the full name or name, to edit the bio. Here we will need the posts count and the threads count. As you can see, in the editor component, we will need the user just like we had the user in the profile card. So let's just copy the script section from the profile card. We can use the card editor inside the profile page. Let's import it and register it. For now, let's just render the user profile card editor underneath the user profile card. In the next lesson, we will see how we can toggle them. Let's check it out in the browser. Great, the form looks nice. But it has to be functional too, so let's make it work. In the profile card editor, we have the user object as a prop. We cannot and should not update props, so we'll need to clone the user into a data property. You can name this whatever you like. It doesn't matter. I'll go with active user. I will bind the active user's properties to the inputs using vModel real quickly. If we test our form in the browser and inspect the user property on our profile component, you'll see that we're actually altering the user in the parent component because we're altering it in the Vuex store. This is not what we want because this could definitely become a likely source of bugs. The reason behind this issue is that active user is assigned the user prop by reference, and thus the two objects are bound. Remember the difference between value and reference in the last lesson? So, whenever the active user object changes, the changes reflect to the user and therefore the state. To fix this, we can clone the user object using the spread operator when we assign it to active user. There are a couple of ways to clone an object, but the spread operator is the simplest one. When we make the change on the form now, the active user keeps to itself. Yeah, that's better. We want the changes to take place in the state only when the Save button is clicked. To do that, I'll add a Save method to the component and connect it to our form. For now, we'll just console log saving. I'm going to wrap our form in the form element so that we can listen for the form submit event. This allows us to call our method not only when the submit button is pressed, but also when the user presses enter from any of the inputs. In order to keep the page from refreshing, I'll also append Vue's prevent modifier to the event. Great, it's submitting as it should. In the save method, we want to update the user inside the Vuex store. This implies that we will need an action and at least one mutation. Let's start with the mutation. I'll create a set user mutation similarly to set post. In set user, first we'll find the index of the user specified by the user ID. And then we'll target that user in the state.users and update it. The action can have a name of update user. The only job of the action is to commit the set user mutation. The payload here is the new user object to be set. Let's dispatch this action in the save method and give it a shot in the browser. I will change the name to Bruce and hit save. It seems to work, but if we try to change the name again, the new name reflects to the state. This happens because we've bound the active user object with the user inside the state. In order to fix that, we have to clone the user object before setting it to the state. Let's try it in the browser again. Now it works fine. To summarize, be careful when you're setting an object to a variable, because if the object is passed by reference, all the variables that refer to the same object will update when the object changes. To set objects' values to a variable, you should pass a cloned object instead.